You hear that? Ah, yes, we were listening. And that, my friend, is one of those things that people get really awkward with when it comes to sales. In this episode, we're going to talk about 3 ways that you can become a better listener that can help you improve your sales skills and naturally help you increase the money that you're making. This stuff is good stuff. You need to listen to it. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast on TSC TV. I'm your host, Donald Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. And I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And on this episode, we have an amazing guest. His name is Mr. Michael Reddington, and he runs an amazing consulting firm. And here's the coolest thing about him, is that he is a forensic interviewer. And on this episode, we're going to be talking about how we can enhance our listening. We're going to talk about 3 specific things, 3 ways to enhance your listening skills. And are you really listening to your prospects? Are we just trying to prepare for the next thing we're going to say, or are we really trying to help them solve their problems? He's going to give you some insights. He runs some amazing programs. And the things that he shared today, I mean, you should be paying for this stuff because it's that good. Anyways, I'll let you check it out. Let's go ahead and dive in. Welcome to the show, Michael.
Thank you for having me here, Don. It's great to be here.
Of course, man. I'm excited to be here with you. I'm excited to chat with you and to dig a little bit deeper into this conversation, into this dialogue around listening. Because, hey, many of us, I mean, let's just be real. We don't listen as effectively as we should. And I'm sure many people watching this and they're like saying, yeah, I know I need to listen, improve my listening skills. So today we're going to go straight into it. And I bragged about you a little bit there in the teaser. But the main thing that we're going to focus on today, are you listening to your customers, and in 3 ways that we can enhance our listening skills. So let's start from the top. Like, why is this a problem? What are some of the things that you've seen working with sales professionals or just talking to individuals in general? Why is this listening part such a critical piece or such a big mistake that we miss up on?
Well, it's a great place to start. And let's start all the way to the fact that we're not wired to be good listeners. Like literally, we're wired to, our brains, for lack of anything else, love to experience comfort first and foremost. So yes, our comfort is typically with the thoughts, feelings, emotions that we already have that are consistent with what we believe, what we like. So when we go into any given situation, truly listening often means putting our ego in our back pocket, controlling our emotions, really focusing on the goal instead of focusing on the people. It's not about being right. It's about moving forward together. And it's not easy to do those things. It's not what we're wired to do. So when we talk about why it's such a problem, when you think about all the things going on in any given conversation, I mean, right now we're connecting online. Even if we think about people who are still able to connect in person, or hopefully soon we'll all be able to connect in person again. Think about all the variables we need to juggle during those interactions. I've got to remember all the stuff I want to say and I'm supposed to say. I got to really pay attention to you and try to remember and catalog everything you're telling me. By the way, the world is still moving around me, so there's all kinds of other things going on. And conversations don't happen in a vacuum. So whatever I'm experiencing prior to this conversation, I bring in. Whatever might be going on later on in my day might be distracting me. And the same goes for the other individual. So truly listening during an engagement is, I'm looking for the right way to describe, like a really difficult juggling mess. Like we've got chainsaws, we've got flame torches, we've got knives. We're trying to keep it all together. So a lot of being a great listener really starts with having a good plan, understanding what we're listening for, the value we can achieve, and then to limit the variables that we have to address, which then allows us to be patient and allow the conversation to come to us.
And bro, there's so much that you just like shared there. Like it's like we could dissect just that and have a meaningful conversation that sales professionals can take. And I go back to the very beginning, like going back to as a sales professional in my role or in my capacity as a business owner where I'm doing sales. I can tell you that sometimes even when I'm selling a new product or a new service that we may have rolled out, I'm thinking about, am I getting those points across? And even though like I know like the key is to listen to the potential customer, oftentimes it is not that easy because, again, I don't want to get thrown off. So I I listen to what you're sharing, and I am in agreement. So now I want to hear the solution. What are 3 things that we can do? Let's outline those, and then we can just dissect them each.
Yeah. So the first one is have a plan.
Plan.
When we
Okay.
talk about understanding where we want the conversation to go. The only capacity I've ever been on a sailboat has been the beverage consuming capacity. I've never been in charge of actually steering one. But if
Yeah.
we were to leave the coast of Florida and start sailing towards Bermuda without a plan on how to get there, then whatever we do once we're on the water is relatively meaningless. Like, what is driving our decisions? Where are we going? What are we doing? Is super tactical, minute by minute. So by understanding where we're trying to go, by really knowing the potential value that we can get from any given interaction, now we can do a much better job listening. And then from there, what we like to say, especially in these virtual conversations that many of your listeners may still be having at the moment, it's focus on what we do have instead of what we don't have. Instead of worrying about all these other things, what if I can't see? What if they can't tell? What if I'm missing? Relax. Life is a series of solvable problems. We can focus on the problem or focus on the solution. Let's focus on what we do have and address that. So if we have a really good game plan, we can start to limit our internal monologue. We understand the value we're going to get. Now we can be more truly engaged during the conversation. So that would be the first. The second I would say would be really be patient and let the conversation come to you. All too often, especially in sales, well, even outside of sales, when we are uncomfortable, we go to what we know. Anytime we experience stress, we go to what we know. So in sales, what do we know better than anything else? Our stuff. Yeah, our business, our service. So it's really easy to feel like we're rushed, we're under the gun, we only have so many minutes, we've got to hurry up and get to the point. Here's all the things I want you to know. Well, I can't be listening if I'm the only one talking. And what a great way to turn somebody off from sharing more information if we're bullying the conversation. Like, listening is cyclical. So what I say to you is going to inspire what you say to me, which is going to allow me to collect intelligence. So I want to make sure that I'm communicating in a way, we like to say, illustrate before we investigate. I want to illustrate my understanding of the situation, my credibility in a way that resonates with you, that causes you to feel more comfortable sharing information. Now I'm gathering all of this intelligence that I can turn around and use. And especially when we're having a good conversation with somebody, one of the biggest mistakes we can make is to interrupt somebody. Is we feel like, oh, hey, we're on the same page. I'm building rapport. Yeah, I'm right there with you. But there's no better way to tell somebody, I don't care what you have to say, than to interrupt them. So when we let the conversation come to us, a few considerations there. And with that, and I just kind of touched on it before, the last piece I'll say real quick for the third one is listen for intelligence, not information.
Ooh. So we got to dig deep on that one. Give me something on that.
I brought shovels, man. So when we talk about listening for intelligence versus information, all too often and I can find myself in the same situation, business development conversations. Oftentimes we go in with a box, so to speak, or several boxes. And if I can just put them in box 1, 2, or 3, then I can sell them A, B, or C. Yeah. So now what we start listening for are what are like the preordained 2 or 3 pains or 2 or 3 opportunities that if I hear, I can put them in a box. But then what happens is, let's just say we're successful there. We do that. Well, now we have to write up a proposal, or we have to have more calls, or we have to get deeper into discovery, or we have to follow up if the lead goes a little cold. We've got nothing to work with because all we did was listen to those 3 or 4 pains or opportunities, felt real good about ourselves. Check, 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 check. But the intelligence in between those, the nuances maybe in their verbal or nonverbal communication, but also the potentially like ancillary details of the story that they're telling us, where what are the cause and effects? What are some of these, even if they make like offhand jokes or comments, that could be meaningful. So really understanding, and this gets all the way back to number 1 as we come full circle, understanding where any conversation can take us then allows us to listen for intelligence. Like if we know where we want to go, now we can know what might be valuable. so we can hear it, we can catch it, and we can figure out how to use it to our advantage.
So I guess going back to, so if you can do number one, if I skip number one and try to do number two, where I am just trying to, and I try to just listen for like three things, like three particular things. Is it are you asking about the date that we can start, or what we call typically buying signals? They're
Yeah.
asking about when we can start. They're asking about testimonials. They're asking about you know um, you know the cost or whatnot. If
Mhm.
I'm a traditional seller and those are the things I'm only listening for, then you're saying I'm missing the mark because I am not guiding the conversation. Those are just like some nuances. Anybody could ask those questions. But if I'm listening between the lines and maybe to the mannerism of what she was saying to me, that, about the fact that she's tried coaching before and it didn't work and so forth, then I can hear, because I know eventually the outcome would be to a next appointment, and potentially if this person makes sense for us to help them to pick one of the programs. But if I know that path, so to speak, that I want to go, and some of the different guidance rather than just 3 points, then I'm being more effective. Correct me.
There's no correction necessary, man. You're with it. So if, to your point, if I go in and I'm listening for these very finite or specific responses,
Yeah.
not only could I be missing other keys that you're talking about, but again, I could be missing some of the intonation. Like, is somebody asking for testimonials because they're interested? Are they asking for testimonials because they don't think I've got it or they don't trust me? Like, where is this coming from? So now the potential intentions or motivations behind what they're saying could be lost. For a lot of us, especially in today's day and age, it's hard to find people that are not selling in hyper competitive environments.
Yeah.
And if they are selling in a hyper competitive environment, I would appreciate an invitation to that environment.
Please let us all know.
So we talk about differentiation, right? How do we differentiate ourselves in the market? One of the ways we do it is we differentiate ourselves by how we communicate with our prospects, with our clients, with our leads. So one of the things, and I honestly read this somewhere, and I can find out where and share it with you, so I don't want to take credit for this. But when we talk about creating or enhancing the perception of our value, it's about providing unsolicited and unexpected value. I want to provide value to people in a way that they didn't ask for and they're not expecting. So how I communicate with them is a great way to do it. If I can pick up on little things that they're saying, little changes in their verbal or nonverbal behavior, that allows me to connect with them in a way that none of my competitors are doing, which then in turn begins to give me a leg up in these conversations.
Oh, dude, you're on so many different levels. You're hitting money on it, and I think because when you first mentioned the idea there, and I didn't want to go to interrupt you. I learned not to interrupt.
This is your show, man. Interrupt me anytime you want.
No, dude. The point where you shared that when it comes towards us as prospects, excuse me, as sales professionals, we tend. And I should have probably made a little note now because I'm having it slip away from me. But the point though, it comes back down to when we as sales professionals are engaged in a conversation with the buyer and we're leading and guiding them. Are we dang it, I need to go back in the recording. I'm gonna edit this part out, but dang it, I was trying to focus on it so much. So Dasan, please edit this part out. Jershin, please edit this part. But cut here for a second. You were saying a point there. You mind going back to it? Was the last the dang it, man.
You're good, man.
You're
I got time. I'm in no
You're
rush.
flowing so well on it. It was the if you don't mind just picking up the last point there again and just sharing with the last little piece that you just shared, the last 2 minutes.
You have to go back and remember what I said.
I know,
So,
dude. Talk about that quote that you got.
oh, the unexpected and unsolicited.
Yes, start from there. So, guys, we're gonna pick up from that point, the unexpected and unsolicited part. So, go from there.
And hey, before we start, real quick, you can interrupt me anytime you want. But if you don't want to interrupt me, literally, if you just give me like the high sign, I'll stop. This is your show. Good. I want you to have all the mic time you need. So
no. I want your tell. So this is good, man. You were doing well. I should have wrote that thing down and queued you up, but.
And to the editors, if they are going to dig back into this, what I'm about to say now might not be as good as the first time. So they might want to cross-check the two just in case.
All right, let's do it. So
Good.
tell me that part, pick up where you said the resource.
Research. Resource. I got you.
Yeah.
Ready?
From there. Yeah, go for it.
So I'm gonna have to go back and get where this came from because I don't want to inadvertently try to take credit from it. I know I read it somewhere, but essentially when we're looking to differentiate ourselves, instead of focusing on how we think we're different or how we say we're different, we can differentiate ourselves just based on our communication. What we really want to do is provide people with unsolicited and unexpected value that they didn't ask for and they didn't see coming. So now if I can really pay attention to the nuances of their verbal and nonverbal delivery, if I can pay attention to some of the details, background, motivations of what they're saying, now it allows me to come back and connect with them at a level that my competitors almost certainly aren't, which continues to help us move the conversation forward and begin to build a trusting relationship.
All right. So now here is think about it from a prospecting standpoint. As a sales rep, we are all, I mean, you're out there making those phone calls, you're sending those emails, and we sound, and often, no matter how much a lot of times we try, we still look and sound like the other person. What makes it different though is what you're saying here. I imagine an email that comes across as a traditional email might say, "Hi Michael, I'm Donald with so and so, and we do we sell CRMs." But if I come with unsolicited value to that conversation, I can share something like, Michael, one of the things we discovered is that 60% of sales teams don't use a CRM. And what we created was a simple, there's 3 ideas. I want to share these with you. Do you think you would be open to something like this? I can send it over. That makes such a difference, right-ish, than I'm making this up, guys, on the spot. So that's much more different than me just coming in and saying, we have a CRM, come and buy it.
100%. So there was a research study, I believe that CEB had done it. I think they've been bought out by Gartner since, but essentially said that, and I'm super summarizing this, but that their research study showed that when you look at organizations, generally about 14% of the factors that we believe to be differentiated are actually differential in the market. So I might think I have 100 factors that differentiate me from my competitors, but if you take all those to the market, they got a big red pen. Nope, 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 nope. And what people don't understand, like when I have this conversation with clients, they'll be like, but this really is different. I know my competitor doesn't do this. And I'll say, you might be right, but do they say they do it?
Oh.
Yes. Well, then it's not different. Because no one's going to know you do it and they don't unless they do business with both of you. And how often is that going to happen? So I like to joke. How many times has somebody said, well, Donald, if you've got the time, I mean, our product is pretty decent and, our service is okay. And I mean, we do the best we can. Like those are telling people you've got the best team and we're a pleasure to work with. Like who's not saying that? So
I have a horrible team, Michael, and I don't like working with them. And our company is awful, and we'll steal your money and run.
But if you got no one else to work with, I'm here for you, man. So really thinking about, I'm a card carrying, flag waving, hill defending believer that teaching is the most important part of selling. 100%. And so anytime I can try to improve somebody's perspective, I can try to improve their knowledge. Like literally for me, one of the great indications of a discovery meeting, or even sometimes a cold call going extremely well, is when somebody jokes, well, shouldn't I be paying you for this? Or are you going to turn around and charge me for this? Because now I know that I'm giving them value that they never saw coming. They literally could hang up the phone and never work with me again if they want. And that's a risk I'm willing to run every single time because I guarantee you, well, I guess I'm a bit of a betting man. So I'll put a bunch of chips on the table. Guarantee's a strong word. That when they talk to competitors, they're probably not being treated the same way.
Oh, man, dude. Love this. If you're prospecting, y'all, you need to make sure you're listening. We're just not talking about mimicking the person. This is coming down to some real good stuff here. The last point, Michael, if you mind reiterating that. So we talked about like the idea of planning, being patient, letting the conversation come to us. What's that third point again?
Yeah, listen for intelligence, not information. Don't get caught in that check the box trap and then finding yourself in some preordained location. if we know where we're going at the end of the conversation, where we want to be, then where we start becomes kind of irrelevant. I can let them start the conversation, begin to lead the dance a little bit, and now I can just nudge it where I want to go. In sales, one of the things that we hear all the time, I shouldn't say all the time, often, is, how do we stay in control of the conversation? I'll make you a promise. Quite often, the easiest way to stay in control of a conversation is to let the other person feel like they're in control. Plain and simple. And this comes straight from the interrogation room. If I push, metaphorically speaking, if I push somebody, they're going to want to push back. And not as hard. They're going to want to push back harder in order to own this space in this conversation. And this
to make
is
a point.
Yeah. And this is exponentially true if I'm talking to somebody about their business. I mean, imagine if I came to you and was trying to learn about your business, but acting like I was pushing this conversation on you. I mean, that feels bad on any number of levels. But if I have a clear plan, I know where the conversation wants to go. I can be patient, let the conversation come to me. So now you feel like you're more in control. That's fine, because I'm using your momentum to go where I want to go. I can nudge it, use an illustration, use a question, follow up, get us to where we want to go. And you felt like you got us there, which in turn is helpful to us.
Do you know Aikido or heard of Aikido?
Aikido?
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, Aikido here. You can see my naivete there.
No, I'm sorry. It could be mine as well.
No, but one of the things that I've learned from that is that a trainer, a friend of mine, he's a trainer. He said that that it's using the other person's force against them, right? Mm-hmm. And it's that same thing you're saying there. Instead of me trying to, use all my momentum and talk about my features and benefits, just roll with the punches, essentially. And that's the kind of way Steven Seagal fought. And, if you watch some of those old movies with him, it seemed like he was effortless at doing nothing because you use the other person's momentum and you could swing him around and all that stuff. But you're 100% right on that. So
I train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and it's one of the principles that we use as well. The more I give to my opponent, the more I'm giving them to work with, and vice versa, of course.
Yeah. Bro, so good, man. So we covered so many things today regarding listening. If there's one major thing you would need sales professionals listening to this to walk away with, hope they're listening for them to walk away with today, what's that one major piece of advice?
Oh, man, I got to come down to one.
I know, man.
I guess I would go back to, and I know we've said it 100 times, I would go back to let the conversation come to you. Too many times, sales professionals, we get excited. It could be for lots of reasons. I'm new. I need an early win. I'm kind of we get ebbs and flows. I'm in an ebb and I need to break out of this, or this is a really big client. I need to win this one. Or, there's lots of reasons why we might get charged up for a specific meeting. Nothing wrong with that. That's natural. But we really want to stay within ourselves, and we really want to heighten our contextual awareness, our situational awareness, and understand going into any given conversation, where am I trying to go? How can this interaction either help me get there or stop me from getting there? And then with that plan in mind, really limit my internal monologue. I don't think we talked about this one too much. The single most important part of listening is talking. So true. So if I'm talking and you're not, well, then I can't be listening to you. In theory, you could be reacting to what I'm saying, and I could be kind of gauging your reaction. So I guess to a degree that's listening. But if I'm talking, you're not sharing a whole lot of information with me. And if I'm interrupting you, I'm shutting you down. But perhaps the most dangerous conversation is the one that happens in here.
Yeah.
Because we can't listen to two people at the same time. So literally, if you are talking to me and I am talking to myself, I am sorry. I'm not listening to you. I'm listening to me. The odds of anybody having something more important to say to you than you have to say to yourself, those aren't good odds.
Not good.
So if we're talking to ourselves about what we're thinking, what we're feeling, where we want to go next, what are we going to say, what are we going to do? Now, I might feel like I'm listening to the person in front of me because I'm hearing bits and pieces of what they're saying, but I'm missing significant portions of that message because I'm lost in my own internal monologue. So maybe we can leave it at that one. By letting the conversation come to you, have a plan, but really limit that internal monologue and focus on intelligence. What can I hear? What can I see that I can then turn around and weave into this plan I already have?
Wow. Dude, if you all are not connecting to Michael, you need to make sure you connect with them. Michael, if they're trying to connect with you, how did it go about doing so?
I really appreciate you asking. So
Of course, man.
they can find out much more about our programs, what we teach, the services we provide at InQuasive.com, InQuasive. They can also find me on LinkedIn at Michael Reddington CFI.
Michael, we appreciate you coming on the show today, man. Thank you so much for taking the time and for sharing this wonderful insight with us.
I appreciate you having me. Enjoyed every minute of it. Thank you very much.
Anytime. That was the one and only Mr. Michael Reddington. And if you want to go ahead and connect with Michael, you can find all of his detail in the show notes. If you're watching this on Apple Podcasts or Google, just scroll down on the cover art. You'll see some information down below. And if you're watching this on TSC TV, just go ahead and make sure you hit subscribe. We would greatly appreciate that, as well as check out the notes in the description. You'll get a chance to connect back with Michael. As always, I share stuff like this because I want to help you. I bring on folks like Michael because they know their things and their stuff. And the programs, again, he's done this for years. And if he can give us certain things that can help shave some challenges off of the way that we're selling, come on. That's going to help us to produce even better. I want you to thrive. I want you to find more of those ideal customers. I want you to know what to say when you reach out to them. I want you to close more deals. But most importantly, I want you to go out each and every single day. Raise your level of thinking. Take advantage of the things our sponsors are offering. And do big things. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Hey, thanks so much for taking the time to watch this video today. If you enjoyed the content, I ask you to go ahead and hit that like button, that thumbs up at the bottom right-hand corner. Also, to make sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already. This way, we'll keep you up to date with all the latest sales strategies, latest tools, and things that are going to help you to not only find more prospects, but to close more deals. Thanks so much.